Hi everyone, welcome to today's Marketing Legos Thought Leader. My name is Persian. I'm the Director of Business Analytics to of the brilliant marketing SaaS teams, RankWatch and Web Signals. And we have Kelsey with us today. She's the co-founder of marketing agency Untamed Creative Society. Hi Kelsey, welcome aboard. I'm so happy to have
Hi, Asha. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to chat all things marketing.
you. Perfect. So Kelsey, your journey has been quite fascinating. Would love to hear your story and your journey so far. You carry so many years of teaching as well as marketing experience with you. Please share a bit more about it.
Cool. Yeah, my journey has been an interesting one. I think the interesting thing is even when I studied, like digital marketing wasn't actually a thing. Like we had the start of social media and that sort of thing. So even where I am today, I couldn't have actually studied what I do now, which is super
Mhm.
interesting. But obviously, I have a marketing background. I did my master's in marketing, which is really how I fell in love with people. I think that's the big thing for me. So I love trying to understand behavior, predict behavior, how do people engage, interact, that sort of thing. And so while I was studying, I started to just work in different companies, different spaces, did a little freelancing along the way as well, which gave me experience in the marketing field. But obviously education is a really big part of my passion. And so alongside of after we founded Untamed, it was a thing for me to continuously keep closing the gap between education here in South Africa and what people actually learn in the classroom and what they're actually going to do in business one day. And so much of my experience is actually bridging the gap between those two. So we're a fully fledged digital marketing company. We started actually just as social media.
Uh-huh.
Basically, what we found is that actually people were looking for more, and there was a gap in the market to say, hey, all of these elements are important, but we can help people bring them together.
Right.
And so that's how Untamed was born. It went really from social media into actually we can do web design and branding and all of that. And
Uh-huh.
people are looking for it.
Got
So, yeah, that in a nutshell is a little bit of our story. I'm still involved in education in different tertiary education institutes here in South Africa. It's important for me constantly creating curriculum and trying to help develop education and just make it really relevant. I think that's a big thing for when people are studying
Yeah.
and then find the bridge between when they start working. And yeah, we love education as Untamed as well. So it's really cool.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Let's talk more about the service offerings of the agency. And like you mentioned, you started with social media expertise. That was the core of the agency, and then build the agency into a full stack marketing service offerings. So let's talk about this. There's so much you do.
Yes, in terms of our services, I think it is this thing of like in the past 2 years, because we're about going on 2.5 years old now. And part of this thing was actually like going through what we offer and who we are. And you'll know, like in digital marketing, it is actually difficult. There's so much to it. It can be quite difficult to define exactly. So with our services, we focus on digital marketing as like the overarching thing.
Mhm.
So obviously it's a marketing strategy, which is then outworks in we have SEO strategies, social media marketing management. That's a big one. We have website development, brand development, and then pretty much all things creative and consulting. We love consulting. We love partnering with small businesses and educating people because oftentimes we find that businesses have a marketing person, but they don't actually know how to do digital marketing or they don't know how to implement things into social. So oftentimes we'll set up contracts that are consulting so we can actually teach and train the people that are already in place
But yeah,
to be able to actually do their job. So in a very small nutshell, I'd say that's what we do. And it's outworked in many different ways, but those are pretty much the core services that we offer.
got you. Got you. What is the typical customer journey in your agency? What processes do you have in place, and what is the hierarchy of the agency right now?
So, in terms of the process and the client journey, obviously, with the nature of who we are, most of our clients we find online or they find us online. But really how it goes is we'll have a discovery call or a meeting with a customer. It's always really important for us. Like we want to find out what the needs of the client are and if we can really fulfill them. I think in the years we've said yes to a lot of things and figured it out along the way. But now we know how to best meet the needs for a client. So that discovery call or meeting is really just to try and figure out exactly what they need, which oftentimes it'll take 1 or 2 consulting sessions to actually get it out of them
Hmm.
because a lot of the time they don't actually know how to put it into words or exactly what they need, but they'll think, oh, like our social media, we don't know what to do or what to repost. So we spend a couple of consulting sessions with them to figure out what it is that they actually need so that we can really pull time and resources into where it needs to go.
Right.
And then we start from there. We'll go through weekly check-ins. We create all the content. We work mainly on Google. So
Mhm.
pretty much everything is there. And pretty much most of our comms go through WhatsApp just because it's
Uh-huh.
quicker. So we like to work quickly. We like to, if there is something a client wants to know, they can then contact us directly.
Right.
And we then share content strategies, all of that, and review that on a weekly basis in a meeting with them, which obviously then gets shorter the longer they're with us and the more we get to know each other. But
Right.
that first month is probably the most, we always say like it's frustratingly beautiful because it's have to figure everything out together and we're constantly bugging, okay, we need this, we need that, that sort of thing. But as you start to find synergy, it becomes easier. And obviously then meetings become less frequent. And we just then review and constantly measure with clients.
Right. So, what's the nature of clients again? Is it more or less recurring revenue cycle for the agency and for the clients as well? Or is it like much more involved onto one-time services?
So no, it's more consistent. So we're really big on organic growth, and
Mhm.
for that reason, the sustainability, and it's a very much a long-term thing.
Mhm.
So with most of our clients, we're okay to do a once-off, but it's really important that they understand for us, organic marketing,
Okay.
um, it is actually key to sustainability. So the
Mhm.
last thing we want to encourage them to do is do a once-off, spend a ton of money on paid ads or whatever it is, and then just flop at the end of it. So with us, we're constantly trying to build alongside and
Right.
explain the importance of actually sustainability for the long term. Because a lot of people just think they want viral, they want now, they want these things, but there's no sustainability in the long run.
Makes sense. So, as you're doing so many things, there must be one favorite digital marketing niche that you love working with. What is that?
So for me, it's probably content marketing. And that's partly because that's really what people engage with. That's really
Mhm.
what you tend to see people then they can fall in love with content and a kind of content. And that way I can also be educational. So I think for me, I work mainly with social media marketing in our company, but content marketing is probably my favorite thing to work with. And also really challenging because content is constantly changing.
Yep.
Same with social media. It's just a constant thing. So it also pushes my creative side to be able to actually say, how can I actually engage and relate to where consumers are?
Perfect. Perfect. I think that's the love for HubSpot also come, HubSpot factor as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So let's talk a bit more about how you keep your team educated with the new changes because digital marketing, especially social media, is frequently evolving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, TikTok came in. And now it's like one of the biggest things. So how do you keep yourself and your team informed with the new developments that happen in these niche?
Yeah, you can't really operate in the digital space without being up to date. And it is quite, I explained it once, and sometimes it feels like you're just running on a treadmill, but the treadmill just speeds up. That's digital for you because things just constantly are going. But I think for us, it's really important. So we focus on staying up to date through there's certain channels, but we also follow certain people.
Okay.
And we know, for example, on Instagram, we know the head of Instagram is going to probably tell us first what the changes are going to be. So we have certain accounts that, like, just from the get go, will constantly follow. And they are see high in our algorithm because we do, I want to say respond, but we do actually go there often. So, for example, Adam Missouri is the head of Instagram. Without a doubt, I'll constantly follow him. I'll follow Instagram creators. I'll look for key people that I know when something happens, they are going to tell us it's here first. So I think that's really important, and finding it on different platforms to say these are the accounts to follow. Um, my business partner is Brazilian and she pretty much gets news in 5 minutes. So it's one email, it's got all the digital news packed into it. It's in Portuguese, so I can't understand it, but she relays it to me. That's every day. We are constantly online researching. That
Yeah.
is part, I think, what a lot of people don't see in digital marketing is the amount of hours they're going to research. And so for us, we spend hours researching. I start my morning going, okay, what is new? What is happening? And how are things going? Because it changes so quickly, you just can't not. So that's practically, I think it's knowing who to follow and knowing where you're going to find the most also like accurate information and where you're going to find it first.
Okay. Okay. There's so many things related to social media. Like you have worked with multiple brands over the years. Okay. I would love to know one of your most successful social media campaign that you have run organically, definitely. And what were the good matrix that helped you decide that this is something which really worked now for that
So
particular?
I so I think for us, one of the accounts is it's a coffee shop.
Okay.
And when we started with them, they literally had zero budget. So it was like they don't have budget for anything really. And so it was a project that we took on, and we pretty much, so we grew their account organically, but we managed to grow it to about 4,000 people within, and it was about 2 years or 3 years. But the thing that was amazing is that those 4,000 people were like 4,000 people that were actively engaged with the brand. And I think that's where I'm very careful of numbers. So metrics
Mhm.
for me, my engagements and based on how many followers I have, what do my engagement looks like? That's far more important than like for me. And for them, like what we saw is just like the people that followed them, like those were real customers, like they converted. We see the changes. And I think that was really cool because that was from like the ground up. I think other than that, like we see obviously quite a bit of success with our personal brand accounts. So people that are speakers or authors, that sort of thing, where we just pretty much what we've managed to do is take all the content they have available and
Yeah.
put that into a sustainable social media plan and just seeing how that actually, because then you start to see like the sales of books or speaking events, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
So for us, those for different clients, they're different wins. If they are selling books, then that's a win for them, but that's not the case for everyone. So I think, yeah, the personal branding accounts, we have a few of those, and those are quite fun to build and grow.
I think, Kelsey, the point that you mentioned that the engagement rate is something one of the primary track.
Yeah.
That is so true for the fact that just like an example that you shared, the coffee shop, if the engagement rate is really good, that increases the chances of repurchase from that. Right? And a lot of marketers actually ignore and chase the number of followers. But to be honest, engagement rate is much better
Yeah.
matrix and increase than just followers. So, make perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think so often, if you don't understand metrics, and this is what we have to explain to a lot of clients, because they want to know, okay, why don't we have thousands and thousands of followers? But I always say, I would rather have 10 followers, and those 10 followers are buying from you and engaging with you, and you're the top of mind with them, than hundreds of thousands that are going to actually, you're going to get a very small portion out of it.
Right. Like, what are the primary tools your agency uses when it comes to social media marketing? And just like you mentioned, engagement rate is something that you actively measure. Any other metrics that you chase you're doing marketing for clients?
We obviously we look at different reach and that sort of thing. We are big on Google Analytics, obviously because we do SEO. There's a lot of Google Console. We want to make sure that those analytics read. So anything really, like we are constantly reading metrics on the website or social media, whatever it is. So that is for us, I think learning to understand what you're reading is really important. And obviously that all then is going to, so for example, if we're looking at our audience, in order to understand who to actually appeal to, or at least who we are appealing to, if we need to actually branch into a new segment, those kind of metrics are really important to us so that we know, okay, we're hitting home on the audience we should be and not just like putting out content for no reason. And then in terms of social media tool, we love Later. So
Okay.
Later is one of our like they just set people up for a win. So I think in terms of scheduling and that sort of thing, but also just in terms of what's actually happening, especially on TikTok and Instagram, they're great resources and they are really for creators. Later is amazing. We do most obviously look at metrics and everything on our Facebook insights, and we use Creator Studio for creating different content. Canva is great. So obviously we have your illustrators and InDesign, that sort of thing. But for us, Canva creates a space where we can use what we have from InDesign and pull it into Canva to create something great, animated, fun, whatever it is. And then also InShots. InShots is great for quick editing for TikToks or Reel. It
Sure.
just makes for a quick, really, and it's literally for me, it's one of the best quick video editing software there is.
Apart from this, because you've been working in the niche for so long, were there any horror story where the client was bad or gone bad? Anything that you would like to you will share with us?
I think in terms of horror stories, most of them will come out of brand development.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, far more than anything digital marketing or social media related.
Mhm.
And I think when you're trying to establish a brand, people often have ideas in their heads of what they want it to look like. We did one or two brand developments for clients, and we thought we'd be nice and we would give them a discount.
Mhm.
And those clients turned out to be the most difficult clients that we've had. And so one thing I learned, I'll just say it was very difficult. And especially because we thought as a young company, this is when we just started. We were like, we're being nice, we're offering a discount. So they feel like they're getting more.
Yep.
Anyway, they felt like that entitled them to like the number one package we had thing. And so I learned very early on not to give discounts and actually just watch your words throughout, because yeah, I would say that the times where we have tried to create a deal or help someone, oftentimes those clients were actually the most difficult. So yeah, I would say be very careful with discounting services.
Okay. So, Kelsey, since you've been doing like you're way too involved into SEO, one of your core expertise have always been social media marketing. How important do you think social signals are, and how exactly it impacts SEO? There's a lot of debate that goes on with
Yeah.
marketing, whether it actually impacts or not. I've seen it with my own experience. That is something which really works and triggers. But I would love to know your experience as well. What do you think?
Yes, I think with most things like SEO or marketing, there's always a debate. People are always debating something. And I know with social signals, for me, I think that the likes, comments, engagement, shares, that sort of thing, I think that it might not directly impact your SEO. In other words, Google has Google. They have rules, they have in terms of trying to keep up with where Google is. But I still think it helps
Yep.
definitely. And so I'm 100% one of the people that thinks, yeah, it impacts your ACO. And actually, it is a way that you can. We always say you can't look at anything in isolation. So for me, social media and SEO, like I can use social media to the best of my ability to actually boost my SEO. And so for me, like the social signals that our content is actually receiving, they can help. Like it is powerful tools. And if you understand how everything integrates together, like it'd be silly to not make sure that your website is linked with whatever you're doing in socials, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think social signals are super important.
All right. I think we're coming to an end. I'd like to ask you the very last question of this session. Please share some of the very useful tips for a new business, especially, and what are the beginners tool that they can use and get benefit of? when it comes to
So
social
I
media?
think, yeah, so I think the first thing I would say to a small business is you have to start somewhere. And I think oftentimes with social media, people overthink things a lot. And I understand why, because the digital landscape is like that. You don't know, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? And so my encouragement is always to say, just start somewhere. Like you're going to have to start.
Yeah.
So as opposed to waiting for the perfect posts, etc., like just start. Like you're never really going to be ready. And I think with that, follow helpful pages. As you begin, follow helpful pages that are going to actually help you grow where you are. And I get that it's difficult sometimes, but like I always say, like find tools like your Later, your Hootsuite, HubSpot, Planoly, those sorts of apps are going to help you and focus on what's possible for you. I think small business owners can see people posting 5, 6, 7 times a week. And one expert will say you have to post twice a day, every day. Another will say, no, you don't have to. And so for me, I always say like consistency is the most important thing. So to a small business owner, I always say, do what you can. Rather post twice a week than not post at all. Yes, there's optimal posting and that sort of thing. But actually for a small business, like we are a small business. Like we understand that it's not always possible because most of the time you're focusing on your clients. Focus on what's possible for you and take a couple of hours once a week or once a month and plan your content in advance. As far as you can, I always say we had a client where it was the same thing. And we said to her, you know what? Just start on a Monday, book out the morning and just schedule your content. Spend the Monday doing that, plan it out, schedule it, put it together. And she did it week to week. And she said, it's so much effort. And I said, I promise you now it feels like effort, but in a month's time, a month and a half, you're going to turn around and thank me. And it just became a weekly rhythm for her. And she literally eventually came back and, but it's so much easier now. And I said, because you're actually planning things, because you're putting it together and scheduling in advance and
I think,
just
Kelsey,
use
one
it.
of the problems that even the new business struggle with is the post ideas. They don't get that much inspiration to create new posts and then they build up their calendar altogether. So, any tips for that as well? That would be really
So I think I was, so again, I do love Later, but Later always offers great blog posts that have like content inspirations, things to do. I always encourage people to go onto Pinterest because you can search your niche on Pinterest and it'll give you a ton of ideas. It'll give you visual things. You can literally Google content ideas. There's a website called titlegenerator.com and there's about 700 content ideas. And all you do is put in your niche. So for us, we'd say digital marketing, and it would give us 700 content ideas. It's a heading, but it's a place to work from. And so those are the little things where I always say, like, start with Google. Ask Google, like, content ideas. Use Pinterest, the search engine, content ideas. And most of the time, you'll be able to find your niche within that or take an idea that someone else has and adapt it to your specific niche.
okay. Okay. And even like looking into your competitors, you can use tools that can give you the competitive analysis data altogether. Try figuring out your true competitors, see what exactly they are doing. That will also and try building something better than that. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Perfect, Cassie. Healthy, I think we are coming to an end now. Any final words that you would like to share with our viewers about you
I
and
d- yeah, just so to say thank you. For me, it's always great to have conversations with different people across different places and different spaces. We love that we get to be a part of a digital world, as difficult as it can be at times. I love that this is an opportunity that we're afforded. And so, yeah, I just want to say thank you and always keen to connect with people and keep building relationships. It's important to us.
thank you. Thank you so much, Kelsey, for all the time and very useful tips that you shared with us. Thank you. Thanks.